Good evening and welcome back to Rhythmgates, where you can't remember what's going on. We have some bedrooms here, it looks like. I seem to remember I was getting increasingly annoyed with my stoneworker who was smoothing all his bedrooms rather than doing something useful. And we had a kind of ongoing plan to sort out some metalworking, slightly foiled by a bit of a shortage of wood, but not that much of a shortage of wood. And yes, I got a water supply working properly, haven't I? Yes. Which it looks like someone is taking advantage of by going fishing in it. Stop it, we are not a fish-based fortress. You're not meant to be fishing anyway. Well, is that... Right, no fishing other than in the non-existent fishing zones. I have built fish-based fortresses in the past. I did one that was on the coast, so we actually had access to the sea, and we basically subsisted entirely on fish and the occasional stranded orca, which... if you managed to butcher them fast enough, were quite useful. Right, so what's going on anyway? I've forgotten most of this. So we're making some charcoal, and I was trying to get my military... I think we need a reasonably useful military, given the tendency of interesting creatures rather to turn up, like that one in the caverns, and we can see that another creature has turned up down there. So we would quite like to be able to actually kill those if we have a reasonable military.
Mind more tea?
No, thank you.
Okay.
And we're mining tetrahedrite up here, which is good for getting copper and silver, and we can turn copper into weapons and armour, and we can turn silver into jewellery, which we can sell. At least that's the kind of plan. Let's also get some gems, because gems can be added to silver jewellery. And we have the problem that we only have one anvil at the moment, and we would quite like to have two anvils, because then we can have one metalsmith's forge dedicated to making weapons and armour, and one metalsmith's forge dedicated to making jewellery. I'm kind of wondering if we want to sort out a railway to get or rather than smelting the ore in situ, we could then smelt the ore. We could then load the ore onto mine carts and send it wee down the rails to the main fortress, which would at least be highly entertaining. But I don't think that's actually worth the hassle. Right, so yes. And it's early winter. Our last visit from a trade caravan was not quite as helpful as it could have been, because the caravan ended up getting attacked by a naked mole dog and then running away. But we did manage to trade a few things. And now, yes, my hope is that we can make some more things and then trade them. So I think we're currently mostly making charcoal. Oh, and I had a purpose for that room. Was that meant to be the new dining room? Because we don't have enough space in the big room over there for dining-y things. I think that was the plan. Which would suggest that I want to make reasonable number of chairs and tables. Something like that. Yes, you might have thought that the naked mole dogs would just freeze in this weather, but apparently not. So let's look at what our military situation is. We currently have 4 dwarves. So our total population is currently 12. Of them, I think we want to avoid officially putting the miner in the military and ditto the woodcutter, because they have weapons. They have things equipped for their work, and that apparently causes weird collisions with equipping weapons for fighting with. So at least they don't want to be in the military in a usual way. I think possibly we want everyone actually officially in the military. I suppose that would actually put the other 10 in one squad, wouldn't it? Except one of them's a child. So maybe we just have 2 squads, one of which has the miner and the carpenter in, and the other of which has everyone else in, and we get them all properly equipped. And then we see if we can actually survive reasonably well. Because I don't think I've ever tried that approach. So basically anyone who isn't miner or carpenter should be stuck in here.
Drafting a load of dwarves into the military who have no relevant skills.
They'll get them.
You need to train someone to be an expert drill sergeant or something.
Yes. Our militia commander is a competent spear dwarf. Our expedition leader is rather bizarrely a novice wrestler, I think from having wrestled a giant cave hippo into death or something. So let us adjust the uniform, or adjust the equipment of the competitive furnaces so that they don't have a weapon assigned. So the competitive furnaces is for anyone I don't want, who will probably have a weapon on them anyway, and I don't want them to muck around getting a second one. So this does mean we're going to need quite a bit of extra equipment. Because armour includes a bunch of things that are not armour. For instance. So one of the questions is, do we make now I think we yes, so what's our stocks at the moment? We have 9 copper bars and 11 charcoal, so we should be able to make at least some armour out of that. So what's our headwear? Because decent headgear is usually the first thing you desperately need. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metal headgear, so we need another 7. We've got enough copper for 3, so let's set that going. And I'm slightly reluctant to accidentally use up all of our wood on making charcoal to make metal with.
Not least because it was for needs to make that Chester again.
We should make some more barrels then. No, it's not a barrel. It's a floodgate. Actually, no, we shouldn't. We should make rock pots, shouldn't we? Except that those have to be done at a craftsdwarf's workshop. We've got a craftsdwarf's workshop. Pot.
Oh, I see.
On the grounds that wood is fairly precious. So there are dangers, of course, with putting a necromancer in the military, but namely that they don't always revive people onto the correct side. So our weapon and armour smith is currently asleep, so that's not going to make any progress in the near future. So I think we need to do a bit more smelting. It feels kind of sad to be burning all this exciting pink wood into boring grey charcoal.
It feels strange that you're burning wood at all when you were so short of it, but I suppose the reason you needed it was to burn.
One of the purposes is to make charcoal, yes.
Yeah.
All right, I can arrange to preferentially burn the non-pink wood if I want to.
This display is kind of mocking you, really. Look at all the kinds of wood that the game contains that you haven't got.
Yes. let us make this officially the dining room. Which will also be a meeting hall. And we can remove the old dining room. Put the dining room somewhere with a bit more space. Right, and our armour smith is now making some armour. Right. Right, we've got a masterpiece large granite pot. That's nice. Well, let's brew some drink into it then. I mean, like, we're quite short of vegetables.
There are presumably a fair number of mineral type rocks, but it'd be a bad idea to hold drink it and don't drink it.
Probably, yes. In general, the rocks in Dwarf Fortress are mysteriously non-poisonous. So, like, yes, you can perfectly well build things out of cinnabar and drink from them, or indeed pitch blend. Do not cook the wine. I mean, not that you can. We haven't got a kitchen, but like, let's just preemptively not cook the wine.
It would be a good idea.
We need the wine for drinking. Boiling the alcohol out of it is a very bad idea.
Be like mulling wine, or brandy again afterwards.
So yes, similarly, let's not cook the plump helmets because we could brew them. Seeds are already all forbidden from cooking. And we curiously still have plenty of meat. So yes, we should probably set about building like a kitchen and such like, so that we can convert the food into prepared meals which will make people happier. Oh, remembering a new romance, indeed. Yes. Maybe we should try to sort out some kind of a temple soon. I'm a little worried that we have a necromancer here who dreams of ruling the world. clearing out those gems, we have found another seam of a vein of tetrahedrite, so let's mine that out as well.
I've not seen any context at all. I've just seen those last two lines because they're both up in the room. Dead sheep was surely a level 7 file at some point.
Yes, our poor necromancer spends most of his time hauling stuff around by virtue of not actually having very many practical skills.
Well, I feel like a proper necromancer or some of the skeleton army to move stuff around for them, but this isn't that kind of necromancer.
Well, they might be able to, but the helmet snakes got into the fortress. That's not good.
The helmet snake is a name. Does that mean it's got a lot of kills?
Probably. It's killed someone, I think. No, helmet snake does not have a name.
In the is fighting, there you go, second from the bottom.
That's a different helmet snake. That was the original helmet snake that we had, which has long since been killed, and which successfully killed someone. The top of the list is this helmet snake, which does not yet have a name.
I have not realised it was the wrong way up, because you always flip through that page very quickly.
This page is in chronological order. As you would be able to tell if they hadn't all happened on the same day. Expedition leader punches one of the fangs off the helmet snake. If we can punch both of its fangs off, it presumably becomes relatively harmless, because then it can't get...
It has to hastily retrain as a constrictor.
Yes. Sadly, the militia captain has been injected with helmet snake venom, and the last person that happened to died of it. You can see their alpaca wool cloak gradually falling apart as we watch. It's worn, very worn, in shreds. I can't help feeling that grabbing it... One of you has grabbed the helmet snake by the tongue and the other one's grabbed it by the nose. That's nice. Here, actually, everyone kill that helmet snake. Preferably with weapons. So yes, now someone using an actual spear has had a go, and that's a bit more effective. And I think the helmet snake will probably not be causing us any more trouble. But someone removed all of its teeth at once. Right. Yes, I'm slightly worried about you because you have helmet snake venom in you. Oops, I didn't mean to leave that unpaused. So you are quite sensibly getting yourself somewhere to get treatment because you are nauseous and feverish. No, dizzy, nauseous and feverish, and mildly injured as well.
Yes, do not spoon in or fuselage.
In dire need of some diagnosis. Well, we do at least have like a pretty decent doctor, as I recall. Yes, a legendary. Well, okay, surgeon, bone doctor, and suturer may not quite be what you need. Sadly, for
But also necromancer.
yes, well, technically yes, that might be helpful, or it might not. I don't know. Okay, the poor militia captain has passed out on the stairs, it looks like. All being well, someone will consider it their job to get her to a bed. Go on. It really should be someone's job to do that. Yes, that's fine. Just setting up a chair. That's because they won't get involved until the injured party has been hauled to the hospital. Right. So now the injured party is in hospital. Our chief medical necromancer should finish building that. Yes, is now going off to diagnose the patient. So now we should be able to say, how is our militia captain feeling? And they have, oh dear, some heavy bruising and advanced rot in an awful lot of places. Oh no, maybe not. Heavy bruising, only one lung? Yes. So, yes, needs cleaning surgery. Okay, so a brilliant surgeon is probably what we need, because we need to deal with that advanced rot and heavy bruising on their left lung, if nothing else.
Does this mean that the right lung is healthy or absent?
Probably healthy. Hang on, I'll just check. But so. Since the right lung doesn't appear in this list, that means it's present and working normally. Okay. The left lung being cyan means that it's kind of in a weirdly damaged state. It hasn't just been shredded or something. As it is, it's rotten because the helmet snake venom has got to it.
And the rest there just mean
white in general means normal, but a lot of the inner bits of a dwarf aren't listed because otherwise there'll be far too many of them. So the upper body is damaged, lightly damaged, but still more or less functional.
So the upper body is unconscious and the neck is winded?
No, the right-hand column is a separate thing. The entire dwarf is unconscious and winded.
I was thinking of that kind of thing there.
Owing to being in hospital and thus allowed to sleep and only having one functional lung. So presumably now our chief medical dwarf will we'll get some water. We don't have any soap yet. Come back with some water. And engage in removing rotten tissue. Surgery, store item in hospital. Try to organise some of the stuff again. What are you doing? Why are you storing a random... Is there not like some more medical things for you to be doing? Thank you.
Well, when I'm coding in my own time, I will every so often come up against the thing where something needs to turn over in the back of my brain, and I'll go and brush something up, or read a book, or do something unrelated, and come back with an idea. And I don't know, if you're a really brilliant surgeon, that's equivalent stuff.
So, how is our... So, still has advanced rot in the left lung, sadly. So they may require she may require a bit more yes, she's been cleaned and some rotten tissue excised from upper body, but not the lung. Yeah. Well, we'll see. There was a miasma because your own body was rotting. Yes, I think that's kind of...
It'll buff out.
Badly scarred, but...
It's recognisable.
I don't quite know how the Z turned up. Oh, I said it's just like delivered for the yes, fair enough. I could type more carefully, but it's more amusing not to.
You probably don't need all these helmet snake teeth. Let's put those in the bin.
If you stockpile number 4.
Did that say?
Yes.
What's a crumble?
It's a kind of underground creature. Let's just dispose of some of the obvious rubbish from there.
Have wheels, so they trundle.
Yes. I like crumble bats. Public up.
That's not a useful message.
I don't understand yet. You have an anagramized draw fortress wiki org anesthetic.
That's probably one of those enormous things.
I think we should possibly do something about this gremlin before it causes serious trouble. I think we can take out a gremlin. Let's see if we can take out a gremlin. Yes!
If you flew on the plane that went round the world at the right speed, could you feed your gremlin or stop?
I would assume that they work on like local solar time rather than though even so that's a bit odd. I don't know, I've never gremled.
I tried watching Gremlins for the first time a couple of years ago and it was dreadful, so I gave up. I also watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time a few years ago and I was definitely on the side of the adults. So I think I perhaps shouldn't have watched these films recently.
It's going to take a little while if people are going to insist on bringing these teeth one at a time into the rubbish dump.
I definitely haven't seen Ferris Bueller. I actually can't remember whether I've seen Gremlins.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things that was in the 80s, I might like it now. But I don't know. Okay, fair enough. I think it only spent 54 pages doing this question, and I can do it in 3 lines. Blah, blah, blah.
I believe that gremlins are considered too intelligent to be butchered, so they have to go into the gremlin has to go into the rubbish dump as well.
I think you're in mistake.
And let's just operate the atom smasher
Cork smasher.
so as to dispose of the gremlin corpse. Right. That's, essentially, a drawbridge, when lowered, will destroy most objects and creatures that are underneath it at the time. I'm not sure if this is a homage to NetHack.
But it would certainly be a plausible thought, yes.
So, in particular, this is a convenient way of disposing of objects that you don't want to exist. You can simply put them somewhere where a drawbridge will be lowered onto them, and then that will destroy them. So I have in the previous fortress, eventually my main rubbish dump ended in a pool of lava, which will also destroy most objects. But we don't currently have lava available here, so instead I've erected a small drawbridge at the bottom of a pit, and so you can throw objects down into the pit and then operate the drawbridge, and this conveniently destroys the object. And thus we don't fill the fort with miasma or teeth. Right, our militia captain is not dead, and is off mining. Still has problems in their upper body, though.
Well, you just like cut it and
Yes.
I do want someone in Lord of the Rings world to wear all the 20 rings of state on their fingers and thumbs and toes. You can see what happens.
So yes, I'm slightly worried about her left lung.
whichever finger they're wearing the one ring on would rule all the rest of their fingers.
But on the other hand, she isn't half mining fast, despite being only operating on one lung.
The universal set hierarchy, turning into a ring somewhere, it was a weird question, and it involved doing some activating the ice water to itself, crush itself, and doing some stuff. That was really very good. But it was one of the students mentioning in my second year.
She's not even winded now, despite the rot on her left lung. You idiot! I think. The helmet stake tooth. Oh no! No, that's not a fight. Sorry, I was briefly thinking that the necromancer had gone and raised something that had then attacked them, but no, that's just you somehow got a helmet snake tooth dropped on your head, or in this case, arm.
In order to preserve some suspense, it will not be specified
No, so,
Whose left lung is decomposing?
notes with the dwarf booked in it? Was there some kind of slapstick moment in the hospital bit?
I think this may have been a bit earlier than that, but
Carry on faffing about in the fortress.
oh, that means we have another miner whom I should shuffle round the military, shouldn't I? Solon should not be a member of this thing and should be a member of this thing.
Would all the very like one ring have worked if you had it up to your nose in some way? Rather than your finger. Gives probably reasons to make it.
Right, we need one more helmet for them and then another 3 helmets there.
I'm not sure how to grammar, but it was quite fun.
See what we run out of if we try to do that.
It's true.
Also, we seem to have
Context, yes.
lost the ability to build that.
I think we broke quite a few that evening.
I think I see. I say to pick up those ones. Good people.
Right, so there is a troll apparently climbing in the upper caverns. Okay. I mean, to be fair, we don't often go into the upper caverns, so
The upper cabin is dented.
yes.
I had the Emperor Squid as techniques, and he laughs at the octopus king because he wears 4 on his toes, 6 4 on his nose, but 2 on his tentacle fins. I also had the octopus king had a ring, and a ring and a ring and a ring. He had one more ring and another small ring, and he kept them one extra ring. I think he pointed out that there were only 7 rings, so I even counted them twice.
So we should probably make some more small rooms, shouldn't we?
So what's the primary mechanism of population growth when you start off with a small fortress and end up with roads? Is it more immigration or more reproduction?
Mostly immigration. I mean, admittedly, in those tools, it was naturalisation of arriving bards mostly, because we had an amazingly popular tavern, and people would turn up there to perform, stay for 2 years, apply for citizenship, and I would say yes. And so about half of our population was like dancers and poets and bards and such like.
So you then mercilessly retrained as siege operators.
I tried to, yes. I have deliberately not set up a tavern here in the hopes that this will cause slightly fewer such people to turn up. Yes, you usually from a small fortress you won't get much reproduction because like it's a fairly slow process, but you get a fair amount of immigration. I suspect if your fortress is unpopular enough, it actually has to survive by new children. But like, since it'll takes them 12 years to grow into anything even remotely useful, this is a fairly slow process. So I think I could do with somewhere for our military to train, That doesn't need to be hugely accessible. So we could just go one floor up and start doing a layer of useful stuff up here. Turn it off auto mining because that won't work very well. Oh, and slightly higher priority because this is actually something I want.
Bug report email from somebody whose email address seems to be describing the bug report. But I think it must be one of these people who's got their own entire mail domain and picks a new address for every conversation they have, so that
Right, so that will get... How are you feeling, incidentally? You're still dented. Oh dear, I'm a little worried that your right lung's unwell. That doesn't tell me your right lung's unwell. Left lung rotten. No problems. No other indication that your right lung is unwell, except that it's yellow in this list, which when your left lung is like rotting away is probably a problem. But let's wait until you have serious trouble breathing or something. Meanwhile, let's make an armour stand or a weapon rack. So that we can have a barracks where our military dwarves can train. Also we could do with a couple of doors to put in it. Do with more doors in general. So now we have at least dug out all of the tetrahedrite veins that we have found on that floor. And frankly, we have enough tetrahedrite for now. We're not going to run out of tetrahedrite anytime soon. And we're all right for wood at the moment, so I don't need to cut any more. Let the trees keep growing. You do seem to have a little bit too little stuff going on. Let us schedule for some gem cutting jobs. Maybe we should also like sort out some offices. Or do we just need to appoint a manager? So we can presumably appoint the bookkeeper as manager. Like that. And then that means we can so we have no spare lapis lazuli to practice on now, and it looks like all of the gems we have are the same value. So let us add some work orders here. So what do we have that needs cutting? We had one alexandrite, but probably not useful at the moment. Amethyst. Cut amethyst. Do cut one amethyst per day, on condition that we have go on, say 10, so that we keep a small stock of them in case we need them for something else. So now that will get us, yes, oh, I don't know, yes, so right, now we have that. Now we can make this into a barracks. And we can say that everyone should train there. Everyone immediately runs in there. Well, yes, they are a bit shorter things to do. So at least some of them are wearing their armour. Everyone has a copper helm on, apart from one person who has a bronze helm on. It's a good start. Yes, they've immediately gone, right, our stonecrafter is off trying to find their equipment. So presumably now has a copper pick. Oh yes, because they're is that a fish I saw in a workshop? Don't think so, but let's see. No, it was definitely not a fish, because our stock check says we have no fish. It may have been some other kind of meat. Meat in general looks like alphas. And we certainly have like some of that kicking around. Right, so what's our military equipment situation looking like now then? Does everyone have at least a vague belief that they own a copper helmet? Yes. So everyone now has reasonably non-ridiculous headgear. So I'm inclined to say now we could go for like making some gauntlets, because we know we need gauntlets. How many pairs of gauntlets do we need? One. Actually, when I say gauntlets, how many gauntlets do you each have? Because that just says metal handwear, and I'm slightly worried that might mean a metal gauntlet. Uh,
They usually have to do the thing that fencers do and tuck their other hand behind their back. So they're-
okay, no. When you ask for metal handwear, that appears to mean. I don't know if it means 2 metal handwear or if it means 1 metal handwear per hand that you still have.
Is that for balance or sort of target or what's that for? Really?
Tucking your hand behind your back simply keeps it out of the way of the opponent's sword. The foil fencer thing where you hold it up behind you so you can whoosh it out backwards to give yourself a bit of extra thrust.
I mean, it's being hit here, but they hit on the hand as well.
It does depend very much on which sword you're using.
So you can't do this.
So yes, we're going to need.
Target, so sticking a hand up where it can be hit makes no difference to the scoring, but it means you can whoosh it.
I want to go back to view. Yes. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pairs of gauntlets. Right, well, let's take advantage of our new manager and add a new order of copper gauntlets 10. While the job is called Forge Copper Gauntlet, I believe it forges 2. And then let's check our stocks of rough gems and add another. I mean, not that we have a shortage of cut gems, but it's something to do.
You've got 44 armour and 0 armour stands.
Yeah, that's fine. People can wear them.
Armour is stored in an untidy heap when
Yes.
in use.
So amethysts are the things we have most of. Claro opals. Okay, let's also schedule the job.
You've got raw fish, even if you didn't have fish.
Oh, thank you. Yes, someone who's paying more attention to my screen than I am. Raw fish is a different kind of object from fish. Yes, you're quite right. So we do indeed have a small amount of fish that people have caught despite my express instructions.
It followed me home. Can I
Yes.
eat it?
Right, well, we've got a bit of space there. Let us possibly temporarily build a fishery. And I actually had a thing I was trying to accomplish, didn't I? Which was, oh yes, to add cut claro opals to the list. New order, cut claro opal. Do one of them on condition that we have a large number in stock. I think that should also, yes, that has automatically scheduled jobs for sorting out for sorting out the fish. And now here comes someone with the fish. Actually, what I should do now is to arrange that we do a demand-driven charcoal production. So we should say we should keep like some number of charcoal in stock. Sorry, let's go for 10. So essentially that will mean that every day, if we don't have an adequate stock of charcoal, we make more. Right, so now that fishing thing has been dealt with, our raw cave fish has been turned into cave fish, which is, I think, actually edible, unlike raw cave fish. One of them has. The others are presumably pending and will be dealt with in due course. Raw here is, I think, not quite antonym of cooked. I don't know if this is actually a cooking process. Maybe it's a curing process or something.
Yeah, actually, means converting the scan codes into Unicode characters or something.
I don't think that's what you do with fish, but I'm not sure.
Unicode goes everywhere.
Okay, maybe I do need an actual, like, temple. Well, I can get. Wait, let's make a temple somewhere up here. I don't know how big you need in order to make a minimal temple. Let's try that. Let's do it. Let's actually make this into a sensible corridor, because otherwise we're just going to be embarrassed. Probably don't need that wide a door to the temple. How are you doing it, turning yourself into a miner? Oh, you're not bad. I mean, you are a legendary stonecrafter, so it'll take a while, but like, we don't really want stonecrafters. Wasn't there an altar available? Let's see what making an altar does. Make rock altar. I'm sure those weren't in Dwarf Fortress last time I checked.
Make a rock altar.
I mean, I presume that a giant Tearsal peregrine is not going to be a serious problem, owing to being, like, in the sky. Why has someone left a pile of charcoal in the corner there? Oh, maybe, no, they've left a pile of diorite there. Okay, I'll forgive that, kind of.
Cancel a store writing an untidy heap. Heap too untidy.
Well, eventually, if places are untidy enough, the things start slowing down because there's so much croft lying around. I mean, not just the game slows down; the dwarves actually do things slower as well, even in game time. Oh, is that what an altar is? Offering place? Yes. Okay, well, let us construct a diorite altar at the back end of our kind of temple.
diorite altar with a diorama.
Thank you. Okay, so all I can do with an altar is to name it, which is a bit odd. This kind of makes me think maybe I should actually look up altars. They currently serve no purpose other than increasing a temple's value. Oh well. In adventure mode, you can often find dice that can be rolled on altars. Thank you. I think. So, yes. So I think I still have to turn it into a temple by... that kind of means. And I think you say meeting area, location. Add location, temple. The Tin Library is a temple, not a library.
It's diorite. It's a rock. It's a rock that brings making altars out on. I wonder what it looks like. Apparently sometimes it looks like that.
It looks like it's got little clocks over it.
Yes, most of this layer of the caverns is made of diorite.
I think the clocks like in the kitchen, which Liz got when she was drunk.
Oops. No, that's different. Right, so now we have hang on, that's a library. That's why it's come out as a library. I didn't want a library. Stop being a library. Remove assignment. Add location. Temple. Right, that's better.
Activity zone 6. Would you like to do an activity with a thing in a place?
Why are we talking about Tin Library?
Because my new accidental library, which was meant to be a temple, turned out to be called the Tin Library.
Okay.
Maybe we'll build a library as well, but then we'll get bloody scholars turning up. And yes, as Claire says, libraries risk necromancy books, which might be entertaining. I mean, let's make it a no specific deity temple for now, called the Natural Impunity. But since we have gone and created a nominal library, and I know we do have some books around because people kept beating up monsters with them. Obviously then we're going to need some bookcases to put in it. At least a bookcase. So I'm slightly worried that we're now going to get pilgrims and scholars and such like turning up, but
So you didn't want to build a library because you get scholars. You didn't want to build a temple because you get pilgrims. What do you want?
a quiet life under the ice.
With only 12 people who keep getting killed by snakes.
Hey!
You want someone to immigrate, right?
No one's been killed by snakes for ages. You know, the last we have only, I think, lost. I think those two are the only two actual citizens we've lost, and only one of those was killed by a snake. This one was a visitor who was killed by a troll, and we got all his armour. I mean, yes, I'm not opposed to immigrants. It's just that the last fortress ended up like overrun with poets.
Explosion.
Yes. Her right lung seems to be all right again, though, so that's nice. And now I think she's busy filling the bookcase with stuff. Or maybe not. Right, so there we go. Thing stuck in bookcase. Or at least stuck near bookcase. Of course, our necromancer can't write books unless we actually provide some blank codices or what have you, or scrolls to write them on. Like, they're not going to go taking one of our existing books and scrawling the secrets of life and death in the margin.
I've discovered a truly marvellous proof of this secret.
But now that there's a library, people will go there and read the books. But, like, this is probably good for them. According to this, the dent in her upper body's healed. Still has a rotting lung, mind, but... like we can tell whether there's a snowstorm or not. Snow's all the way up here. Incidentally, let's check that nothing's suffering from catastrophic cold damage. No, good.
Catastrophic cat damage.
It's the kind of tree, the bright pink tree that we make most of our stuff from. Right, so I think the fish situation has now been sorted out, kind of, in that we now have 0 raw fish and 4 fish. Yes. And yes, people are reading our book. I'm fairly sure we have more than one book, mind. Why do I ban fishing? Mostly because we don't have a serious food shortage. and fishing tends to be a way to end up trekking all the way across the map to find a thing that will then rot. If we start running short of fish, I might allow it again, but at the moment, strictly all that the primary thing that I've done is to say you may only fish in places that I designate for fishing. So, like, if designating things for fishing looks like a good plan, then I'll do that. But yeah, hunting and fishing tend to be good ways to end up with dwarves in distant parts of the map that are inhabited by dangerous wildlife like trolls and pond grabbers, which I suspect are particularly exciting.
The more you tighten your grip, pond grabber, the more ponds will slip through your fingers.
Yes.
With a splosh.
So we've almost finished arranging that everyone has gauntlets, which is nice. Oh, hang on, I was an idiot, wasn't I? I was meant to make sure that the cutting jobs were all assigned to the jeweller's workshop that's for cutting, not the jeweller's workshop that's for encrusting. No, that's not the one I wanted. Right. I suppose there is an argument that we should cut down the mushroomy shaped trees on the grounds that we can't, that they will never get any bigger in terms of the amount of wood we get out of them. No. And so we may as well make the space for the kinds of tree that we do get decent amounts of wood from. Also, like, there's a decent amount of wood at the top of that, on top of that mushroom. It's just got stuck there.
They're not dithering sofas. They're dithering sofas. One that you sit on when you're dithering.
Oh, okay.
So for the purpose of dithering.
Oh look, a scholar's turned up. Oh, I suppose I could actually mark my can I mark my library as no, not allowing any visitors? That would probably deal with the problem, wouldn't it?
You have to have a library card.
Yes.
Only a big library card.
Let's let scholars in for now, but I might change my mind. And like we've got, provide somewhere to sit and read if you want. I've marked the temple as only being for locals. Right, so now our military all should have metal handwear available to them. Right. So now we should probably make some high boots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 set pairs of high boots required. Forge copper high boot, 10 please. So now everyone is at least like getting dabbling skills in combat useful things like armour user. I mean, we would use iron or steel, but we don't have those. And frankly, we're up against wildlife, so copper's probably good enough. So yes, the our woodcutter is destroying trees. And this doesn't actually give us much wood. You can see 1 log per tree. But we did get those 6 spore tree logs that have got stuck up the top of that black cap, so that's probably worth the hassle.
I think there's a spore tree ought to be some sort of anti-air defence.
Yes, that then leaves a bit more space for those young tunnel tubes to grow.
You flat dairy, you know, in freaky fashion.
Our visiting scholar is pondering isosceles triangles.
Oh dear.
And everyone seems to want to read The Monastery, The Truth. Alright, yes, that tunnel tube we can't easily fell because it's in the water.
Well, we'll stout you on this Tuesday.
That is true. So, yes. Good night.
Good night. We have 2 scholars here who are now discussing reproductive behaviour with one another. Gosh. I'm sure they are. Still, the visiting scholars do bring books with them, I think, because we've now got 6 books in the library. Even if they will then take some away as well. So they help to spread knowledge, give our dwarves new reading material. Though we do appear to have now everything entirely full of crundles. I mean, like, if we actually felt in need of meat, if, like, we didn't have a terrifying stock of meat already, we could send someone out to hunt those crundles. But a crundle, for those asking, is a small imp-like reptilian creature that roams the caverns in great packs under the earth, according to the wiki. A tiny underground monster with large claws and horns. It walks on 2 legs and is dangerous when encountered in large numbers. Generally not significantly dangerous. Can be useful for training your military. You can actually use them as a good, decent source of eggs. Being as they are reptiles. So yes, we could perhaps usefully send military after them merely in order to give the military some exercise. I should have these. I should remove all of the farm plots out here and start setting up farm plots in sensible places. Maybe I shouldn't schedule those for removal because it looks like they may still be growing things. But on the other hand, surely someone would have harvested them if harvesting were a thing. I mean, anyone coming over here is probably going to get tangled up in those giant cave spider webs, but that's fine. They'll get out eventually. I mean, I suppose I could set people to harvesting the webs. Because there are an awful lot of them. Like, they're quite valuable things to have around. Need more space for workshops if I'm going to do that, though. How are you feeling? I'm still worried about you and your rotting lung. Still, you seem to like reading, so that's good. I think once you've woven the cave spider silk, it stops being sticky. Indeed, once you've collected it, it stops being sticky, and you can thus sensibly use it for making clothes out of. And for sewing up dwarves who've somehow managed to run into a giant cave spider. wonder if we've got anyone who would like to build a loom. Doesn't look like it. Let us make it somebody's job to make that loom go. Right, we are now out of copper. And have only made 5 of the requisite things, so let us smelt some more tetrahedrite so as to get ourselves some more copper. So now we have someone engaged in a collect webs job, which involves a lot of going out there and finding a web and coming back. And then weaving it into cloth, which yeah, there is a slight danger that we'll turn all our thread into cloth, which is not really what we want. Let us, to be on the safe side, turn off auto loom, but leave on auto collect webs for now, keeping half an eye on whether there's anything in anything that we really need to avoid getting killed by. Oh yes, I should turn back on your stone detailing since there's not much masonry to do. We'll have some copper soon. Just smelting it now. Just busy turning this tetrahedrite and charcoal into copper. And silver, probably. There we are, 4 copper bars. That should help with making things. And we've left behind a giant cave spider silk cap. So yes, here is one of our web collectors. Going all the way up to the enormous quantity of webs in the upper caverns. And grabbing one of them and taking it back, and that will take forever to clear them all out, but it will avoid people getting trapped in them. Possibly I should have put the loom somewhat different. Oh well. Now possibly whoever's meant to be making charcoal is getting distracted by something. Yeah, the caverns are fairly safe at the moment. They're mostly full of grundles. And like I could send someone out to kill the grundles, but then something more dangerous might turn up. There's a giant cave swallow, but those are fairly benign. I mean, our biggest problem has been helmet snakes, which are like scary and venomous, and giant cave spiders, of course, which are properly scary. Back to pondering triangles. So we are continuing to make stuff. Spring has arrived. I mean, not that brings with it like a thaw or anything. It just gets slightly less terrifyingly frozen. I'm slightly worried that our outpost liaison has been here for quite so long. So currently, I keep wondering why our carpenter keeps storing a battle axe. And now they have it again. So they take it, put it in the bin, and then take it back out of the bin. Oh, well, if that's what you want to do. Still, and our metal worker, how's she doing at skills? So she's up. Oh yes, right. Yes, she's up to a competent armor smith now, which is nice. And legendary, and of course is a legendary weaponsmith. Though we still haven't made any weapons recently. And like we're getting quite a stock of silk thread now. Which is nice, valuable stuff. Just ask someone to make some bone crafts to keep them entertained. Kind of amusing that meditate on and ponder are different activities. One being religious and the other being scholarly. You meditate on trade, apparently. What exactly are you doing? All right, you're collecting all of those threads and sticking them in a bin. I see. one more pair of copper boots to be made. And job is pending. I think it's just that our smith is busy doing something else. So maybe we should start establishing a kitchen. Yeah, that ends up accidentally joining the corridor out there. Let's just wall off that corridor for safety.
That was a new Alpine error there. Just tried sending a mail and it said, can't create send mail folder. Sorry, no, create send mail folder. Yes, can't create it, already exists. Create send mail folder. Eventually it sent.
Right, we now have enough boots for everyone. Maybe we should start thinking about weaponry. So you have given yourself a spear, which is sensible. No one else has. Says there's an axe dwarf in here somewhere. Oh yes. No. Does that just mean that they, two of them have, oh right, one of them has a spear, one of them has an axe, and therefore they have given themselves those. So essentially, is that our weapon stock at the moment? I mean, we've got, yes, one more axe, which is assigned to the woodcutter. So essentially, we need to decide what weapons we want. See if the wiki has any suggestions. Let's make sure that we're searching the Dwarf Fortress wiki and not Wikipedia. So I think the wiki says battle axes, more or less. So I think we want to give everyone a battle axe, except for the ones who have skills in other weapons. So let us create a new job of make forging 10 copper battle axes. I can't build an anvil unless I have steel, which I don't. So essentially I'm going to have to buy my second anvil from the next trade caravan when it turns up, assuming that I have something to sell them, which of course is a good reason to start cooking. Are you rendering fat? Yes, you're rendering fat. I didn't even know we had any fat. Let us, following my usual behaviour, we don't yet have any tallow. I think the tallow still needs to be made. Once you've made some tallow, I shall forbid you from cooking it. A visiting engineer who appears in bright red and is coming to, well, we don't know what they're coming to do yet. Our library seems to be bringing in approximately the right number of people, though we're running out of books because all the bloody scholars have wandered off with them. Which suggests we really need to make some parchment just so that we can copy things before they get stolen. As I recall, parchment is quite complicated to make. I presume we haven't got any parchment in stock. No. Right, we now have 18 horse tallow. Do not cook the tallow. We'll save it to make. We'll save it to make soap from later. Now, curiously, candles are just a thing that dwarves don't do. Obviously, that will be a sensible use for tallow, but apparently dwarves don't actually need light sources. How's our dining room? It's merely a dining room at the moment. Oh look, it's a locally produced masterwork copper battle axe. Oh, we have a new kind of wildlife. A cave crocodile has just surprised our chief medical dwarf, who has started punching it. Do you not have any weapons yet? Probably not. Very few people have weapons at the moment. No. Oh, you allegedly have a weapon assigned. Have you just not got round to picking it up yet? You're carrying, or at least you have strapped to your something, strapped to your upper body, a copper battle axe. So you chose to punch the crocodile. Possibly drawing your battle axe was just too much hassle. In that case, look, if I tell you you're in the military now, your job is to kill the cave crocodile, will you draw a weapon? Well, that's certainly got some blood somewhere. Yeah, okay, now everyone's blood is all over the place. Yeah, okay, we've gone from dancing with the crocodile to the crocodile ripping off your digits and you hacking at it with an axe. Now, I think you're probably winning. Right, what? Okay, I think that's a good event, yes. You have managed to cause some fairly serious injury to the cave crocodile, though it does appear still to be, like, alive. So why that message about... Oh, right, that was just... Yes, that's just a message that has been waiting for a little while. Okay. Right, well done. You are now a severely injured... Chief Medical Dwarf Necromancer. I'm now going to have to assign someone else to medical duty because you can't sort yourself out, aren't I? Right, someone is at least recovering you. I'll wait until you get back and then assign someone to the job of diagnosing you and maybe patching you up. Okay, you're back already, right. Do we have a diagnoser? Yes. I think this might even be someone who's a halfway competent diagnostician. Well, dabbling anyway. Better than nothing. Ooh. Okay. Oh, incoming migrants. Help. Right. Well, first, though, we need to give someone at least temporarily and you're already a surgeon, so let's also set you to the other medical labours. Ordinary sized cave spiders are not a serious problem. Looks like our chief medical dwarf is needing a fair amount of treatment here. Presumably they keep bleeding. Diagnose, clean, diagnose, clean. At some point you might actually get to do something else. Ooh, Masterpiece Copper Battle Axe, excellent. Go to individual combat drill. No, suture. I changed my mind. I need to suture. And then we go and fetch some more thread to make sure the hospital is well stocked with thread. Are you not sorting out a dressing for this person? No, apparently not. Okay, how are you feeling? Does kind of look like you still need some treatment. Oh, is this one of our new arrivals? We have an actual doctor. Excellent. We're also going to need some new bedrooms, aren't we? Given that we now have 43 citizens. What? I mean, yes, that's nice. I bet none of you brought an anvil with you, though, did you? No.
Can any of them type?
Quite a lot of them can mine, it appears.
I am going to bed, honest.
Good night, honest.
Eventually.
Okay, I think I should take my manager. I should put my newly arrived doctor onto all medical duties, and then take the manager off them. Because, like, given that our chief medical dwarf doesn't have to sleep, we probably don't. It's only the fact that the chief medical dwarf is currently stuck in hospital being ill that means that they that means that we need a second doctor.
Second doctor. Yes, baby.
Maybe we should move the hospital closer to the well. I mean, that's getting better. Should just check, yes, that we've got enough materials. I mean, like we certainly, yeah, we've got plenty of thread and plenty of cloth. We would like some more soap, well, some soap. You probably don't actually need to be doing diagnosis either. Dizzy notes that the rooms are smaller than nose tools. Yes, that's in part because I'm not trying to also use them as corridors, because I'm not trying to make the not trying to arrange that we have lots of watertight or rather zombie-type compartments. So essentially, I'm not bothering to give myself so much space to do interesting things in, while being able to isolate everything from everything else. So everything's a bit more compact, at the expense that if something goes badly wrong, it may well take out a largish part of the fortress. But I think we are less prone to things going badly wrong here. Like mostly here, we're the things that are dangerous to the wildlife rather than like zombies. This, of course, may be more of an issue once we have more necromancers. And like Nose Tools was a bit of an experiment in making everything the same layout. So it was entirely made out of 5x5 rooms with three square thick walls between them. And that mostly worked, though it did involve an awful lot of digging. This is much more the conventional way I used to do things, which is a kind of slightly sprawling thing. Let's go back to watching the Doctor. I mean, I'm sure I could actually do more useful things than watch the Doctor working, but is one of the more satisfying, like, everything just happens automatically sort of bits. I believe we have a crutch in stock. I shall just check. So, yes, we have 3 crutches in stock. I could perhaps make 3. so that we get up to the 5. It is kind of tempting to make silver crutches. I'm sure that would cheer people up. You're out of lead. Could. I mean, lead is free, but it is also rather heavy. Now, I think we should probably make wooden crutches, shouldn't we? Oops, no. On the ground. Well, I mean, on the other hand, you can probably use a silver crutch as a bludgeoning weapon. Let's just make 3 wooden crutches. Right, we have all our battle axes. See, reproduction does happen. Our militia commander has just given birth. It's nice. Let's go back to watching the doctor. I think we've acquired a hunter. We've acquired 2 hunters. Well, have fun with the Drowthers. Easternly rash, crossbow bolts. And here we come. Someone just delivered a bright pink crutch to the hospital. So that's nice. Right, and off goes our dwarf necromancer with their crutch. Quite slow at the moment because they're not very good at using a crutch, but they'll get better. So already have dabbling crutch walker ability. Is currently dressed in some rather tatty clothes, but has cave spider silk thread sewn into everywhere. Has a tunnel tube crutch in bright pink. Is currently carrying a battle axe. Started training and is thus sweating. So he's wearing trousers, tunic, robe, cloak, glove, mittens, socks, shoes. Doesn't actually appear to have any armour other than a copper helm on at the moment, but that might be because they should have gauntlets at least, surely. So we have a couple of... Well, you have one uninjured Drouther and one quite badly injured Drouther, which we could possibly send the military after just to dispatch it. Maybe this will also help them to pick up their weapons. And like it's practice. Right, there we go. I think we may actually have no farmers at the moment, which is why this has why those fields haven't been removed. Possibly we should get some, because otherwise we don't have any way of producing drink. We're okay for plump helmet spawn, so we could set that going again. Anyway, I was going to quickly forbid cooking any of the other kinds of tallow we have kicking around now. I remember. Yes, we are. Someone asks, do we have an expedition leader? Yes, we are. We have an expedition leader. I think we still do, because we are an expedition. We will shortly probably switch to having a mayor because we've got such a huge population. We will cease being an expedition and become actually. Well, yes, we were an expedition when we had 12 dwarves like a month ago, and then another 30 turned up. I think now we are going to be turning into a town. This is going to require some architecture, but I think now is not the time for architecture, because content after putting on a well-crafted item. That's nice. Still not wearing anything like as much armour as I would like, mind, but... we shall sort that out in due course. To these random objects lying around, yeah, that can go, and that can go, and that can go. And like our poor necromancer's toe can be disposed of as well, I think. Because I hope they won't ever need a coffin. Does that mean they actually have an entry that says that they're missing one toe? Because surely they should do. Yes. So the dark grey third toe left indicates that our poor chief medical dwarf now has only 9 toes, and also like a broken ankle. Not sure that ankle is ever going to be entirely better. I believe that the number of toes is fixed. Sorry. Yes. He is very slow to heal, so it may take him a little while to... He absolutely detests hamsters. That's the right button, sorry. Like, he has another kill to his name. I mean, with some sacrifice. Well, at least. So, where does the skull injury appear in here? Not sure. That might be the mangled lower lip. Still, he'll probably get better. Ah! Oh dear, Dwarf Fortress just segfaulted. Not meant to do that. Right. I think that means I do need to be a bit careful now. I was going to go to bed. I don't think it was the hamsters. So yes, I think we have to go back to the last autosave. So what I probably want to do... Sorry, I think I want to be a bit... cautious about this. Probably move, so the last save of region 6 is going to be before that autosave, so I should move that aside and then copy the most recent autosave of region 6, which is that one, to be called region 6. Right, and then restart Dwarf Fortress. Has that brought it back up in my... Yes, right. Continue. Right, what on earth has unhappened now? But we had so much entertaining stuff happening, and now I don't know what of it has actually happened. In particular, none of those immigrants have turned up. and our chief medical dwarf is uninjured. Well, that's kind of sad. No, it's before the necromancer met the cave crocodiles, before the cave crocodiles had even been created. Sad. Oh well. Maybe something will happen again. Right, well, in that case, I shall... it was all a dream, yes. So we do have a bit of a spoiler that there's probably a big mob of immigrants coming, though the random number generator will doubtless have different ideas. I suspect similarly the cave crocodiles will be at the discretion of the random number generator. At least the yes, at least the crash was fairly well in, so it's probably not a reliable crash either. Right, well then. In that case, I'm going to save and go to bed now, and then I can forget all of the things that just happened. Oh yes, that's a good question. No, I think we're also... It was the militia commander who was... Was it the militia captain? Right, so the rotting lung is still a problem, yes. But the cave crocodiles have not been met. And a bunch of other stuff has not happened. In particular, we haven't made any of the battle axes yet. We're still working on boots. But we have got the library. And we haven't yet got a kitchen. Right, well, anyway. That's a pity we've lost some of that, but I think I shall thus stop, and we will see you again on Sunday when we will go through it all again slightly differently. So, yes. Good night.